If you're receiving this transmission, you are the resistance, declaring war on the New World Order. TruthRadioShow.com. And welcome to the Dan Bidondi Show. We got a special interview today. And like always, we cover corruption. I mean, this is heartbreaking, really is. So we got a guest in the studio here, our first guest in the studio, actually. And the title of today's show is "Family Court and State Corruption Exposed in Rhode Island." And this is one of many cases, but this is really, really disgusting what's going on here in Rhode Island. And we're gonna start reporting more on this stuff, as people should know about the news. Like several kids, like I think it's 40-something kids a year going missing under DCYF custody. Nobody knows nothing, no accountability. You ask politicians, it's like talking to a wall, and complete corruption. I mean, anything from the children abuse and CPS custody, I mean, going missing, it is disgusting. But today we're going to talk to a gentleman here who is a victim of literally of not only the family courts but the school system, parental rights. I mean, it is disgusting. So, without further ado, let's bring Mr. Joshua Mello. How you doing, Josh?
Doing good, Dan. How about yourself, sir?
Oh, pretty good. So I met Joshua here not too long ago at a Trump rally. It was pretty cool, and he's out there with a sign talking, exposing family corruption. You know what I mean? Trying to get somebody's attention. You think the mainstream media would be all over this? Nope. Yeah, because payoff. So, Joshua, so introduce yourself, brother.
How we doing, Dan? Josh. I'm own a small business here in Rhode Island called Case Customs. I'm a proud father of an 11-year-old and happily involved with my other partner for the Case Customs, Rachel.
Awesome, and great to meet you guys. So now, like I said, I met you, I think it was a month ago.
Correct. It was down by the pier at Rocky Point, correct, for one of the Trump rallies.
Yep.
I had a sign that I was trying to bring some awareness there, and I was initially trying to get in front of certain type of cameras because I knew these rallies brought some kind of media focus. And an area mouthpiece was there, Joe DiPietro, who also kept, John DiPietro, excuse me, I was trying to get through him, and he basically told me that my story didn't mean anything unless I was in front of Ramondo's house protesting, acting out like these hoodlums that you've seen as of late.
Yeah, John DiPietro, he's a local talk show host here in Rhode Island. He's just a person that just jumps on something big that's going on, never bothers going to the small things and seeing what things are about. I'm not going to trash the guy or whatever, but yeah, I mean, he should have picked this story up, and I'm not bashing the man, but yeah, this is big, you know what I mean? And
I'm not to bash him, but the way he treated me with it, that's why I just call him that, because he sounds really good, but when you ask him, did it take on something of the heart? He's like, he kind of just brushes me off, and that's unfortunate.
It is. I mean, important stories I had to get to him too. He just brushed it off. If it's nothing to do with Trump, you don't want to hear it. But you want to explain your case? What was the sign you were holding?
It was a dual-sided sign. It was it had a couple of kind of alarming quotes, basically saying that the Child Protective Service is the equivalent of what the heck was it? Planned Parenthood, because it's like they kind of killed children and things like that. And there was a few other pretty significant slogans that I tried to come up with, basically about family matters and criminal corruption that exists in the family court system.
Yeah,
trying to get that awareness, and if I'm not about there trying to be disruptive, but if I can make a disruptive sign or a disruptive kind of slogan, I'm going to achieve hopefully that same principle.
Well, you know what, you're not too far off with that stuff, man, I tell you. And that's what caught my attention. I walked up to you, I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? So you told me the story. So now explain what happened, man. Explain from the beginning and, take your time, go through it, and explain what happened. And this is involved with your daughter, I believe.
Correct. My daughter Carissa, she is the K of K's Custom. She's 11 years old. Basically, her entire life, her and I have been subject to basically parental alienation, and that was kind of the heart of basically the business that we have. I was trying to take and make the most out of the short time and moments that we had. With that, we started getting into children's ride-ons, and it grew into what it is now. There was a period of time when I got involved with my partner here, Rachel, that we had a lot more time being able to spend with Carissa than the previous 4.5 years of her life. Then there was still some turmoil, whatnot, between the the birth mother and I and whatnot. So we just try to ignore those types of situations. But then recently there was a situation where after she was changed into a school, and many of the decisions in her life I was basically left out of, but I was trying to voice my opinion that I wasn't approving of some of the things, and that became a problem because you don't rock certain boats. And with that, when she changed into a school, her mom went into the school legally and started changing to some documents. One of those documents was an emergency care card. There was no court accommodating documents to validate her claim, and the school, for whatever reason, allowed it. They didn't accept, they didn't dig any deeper. So I believe that they were known somehow between the two people to allow something like this to take place.
So that they did this without your knowledge.
Knowledge, my consent, anything. In the week that she had just started the school at this location, and it was September 4th that this took place. I was going to pick her up on September 6th, like I would, which was a Friday. All her school days, every Friday, I would pick her up, drop her off at Monday, this kind of routine. So this not being any different than any other Friday, I went to pick her up. Now, unfamiliar with how the school works, because again, I just said this is her first week there, and the principal was present. I knew the principal previously from a meet and greet. I tried to exchange some cordials with her, understanding how the flow of the school went. She took some basic information, jotted it down, and instructed me that Miss Evo, the teacher would bring her out, and how so. She made her way away, and then the teacher came out. I exchanged with her. She also had my daughter in hand, and we made an exchange. Hello, how you doing? She gave me my daughter by hand, and then all of a sudden the principal came out, started screaming and yelling, and created the scene. So I tried to keep it peaceful. Obviously, we're at school, not the place for that kind of thing. So I said, "Can we talk about this, in private?" She obliges. And this is where things get a little strange. As we're making our way into the principal's office, she leans over and she says something to this gentleman who's kind of just hanging out, meandering, leans in, says something. He gives me this look and then kind of walks out past us. Now, this particular school, the front foyer has a lot of glass, so you can see right outside the school entrance. As we're going to the principal's office, I see an officer come in with that same gentleman who just walked past me. As I plant myself in the principal's office, as does a police officer, unprovoked, no reasoning, and I'm going under there with the assumption that I have privacy. I have the ability to talk to this woman, engage with this woman who is the principal of the school, one-on-one, without any kind of issues. I inquire with the police officer why he's there, and he basically fluffs me off, and I said, "Well, I don't need you here, and I don't want you here," and basically said, "I'm not leaving until she decides I can." So I try not to really put too much weight in that, so I re-engage the principal, and I'm trying to understand what's going on. She simply says that I'm not on some piece of paper and tries to fluff off any further in questions that I try to have for her, but does go to a computer. She has two computers to her right. She pulls up this system and finds my name at the top, very top. No other name on the list. And I say, "See, there I am." Instantly, she closes down that logs off of that computer, and the officer chimes in and says, "Did you find him in the system?" She says yes, but responds where I still don't feel comfortable to call the superintendent. After the police officer, acknowledges that I was there with the conversation between her and the principal, I'm like, you all don't have anything on me, and I need to leave. I have things to do. So I basically walk out of the principal's office, regroup with Rachel and Carissa, who's outside, still with the teacher at the front doors. And at which point I regroup up because they're still speaking with them, and we proceed to leave. We get around the front of the building, and out of the blue, this officer comes up, basically saying, I can't leave. He's going to put hands on Carissa, which is a minor, 9-year-old at the time. And obviously, I counter that, and I tell him basically, you have no authority or the right to do that, which he proceeds to instantly start grabbing me, tackling me, headlock, quicken my feet out from me. My shoes came off, my pockets became empty, my ID's over here, wallet's over here. It was.
So you just like
went raging on me.
Just no, unprovoked. I mean,
unprovoked, without letting me know I was being either arrested, detained, none of the above. So, I guess you would call it a struggle because I'm struggling to maintain my ground. He's struggling to take me to the ground. Rachel calls out to him saying, "You can't do that because I have an injury." And at which point he finds that out and uses it against me, and he takes me to the ground really aggressively. And then puts me in handcuffs and would never let me retrieve my footing because I want to go over and see my daughter, who I see off by the fence, having the most traumatic breakdown I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And pulling the grass out, trying to pull her hair out, just really, really powerful and disturbing. And he wouldn't even let me near her. So then the school is swarming with cops at this point. I mean, there's eight cops, 8 cruisers, 15 or more police officers. 2 of them come over and they just basically take me away. But I remember one of them saying to me, "You're not being arrested. We just need questions out of you." Anyway, they threw me in the cruiser. Again, I'm missing a shoe. My property is all over the school grounds. And they're asking me for my ID. I'm like, "Well, it's over there if your officer didn't become an asshole and take me down."
So is this in front of your daughter?
No, my daughter at this point was taken away with Rachel, and they were brought into the school by, I believe, the principal and another police officer.
Well, you were taken down in front of her.
Yeah, well, I meant the interrogation part. Yeah, but she obviously did see the assault from the police officer.
Unreal, man. And you think the cops would be like, the kid's here. It's like, why don't you take a walk with me? We'll talk. Civilized. You know what I mean? And that's unreal. It really is.
They had zero training to handle that any predicament, I feel, or even training to even be engaging with the community at that point, because he was so just really hostile and aggressive to wear that kind of uniform. So at this point, they're asking me questions. I'm outside of the car. I've got all these police officers around me just really being, "What are you doing at this sort of school?" They kind of just berating me over what I didn't really do anything wrong at this point. I just challenged the system, saying that I couldn't take my daughter.
I'm sorry, I'm just a parent picking up my daughter. Yeah. Unreal.
Yeah. And one of the things is I have a folder full of all these corroborating evidence of just documentation of Aspen records of what was changed, when it was changed, and types of details like that. So then anyway, about 20 minutes later, I'm told I'm being arrested by a different officer, and I'm driven away and brought to the Cranston police station, and I'm left there. About 9:30 at night, I get released, and I go and Rachel picks me up, and we end up picking up Carissa because I run the small business I run, we do a lot of events, and she was having her first quote-unquote Power Wheels race that weekend in Ware, Mass. I pick her up, no questions. She comes running out about 10 o'clock at night. There was no issues at that point with the parent, the mom or whatever, who changed these documents to put me in this situation. So anyway, I get her out, we go away, we do our thing, bring her to school Monday, and try to go on about as much as normal as possible. Go to pick her up at school, or meet her at the school bus, meet her for the drop off and pick up, whatnot. Wednesday, all of a sudden, I'm being notified that I have a restraining order against me. I have found out that DCYF massaged the same individual who modified these documents into putting a restraining order on myself against my own daughter.
So the mother they talked the mother into getting a restraining order against you without. Did she have any intentions on getting one?
I I don't know what the intentions were, but I would believe no at that point, because here it is. If there was an issue, it would have been done Monday or Tuesday. By Wednesday now, I'm being told that this is what's taken place. And it was against not only my daughter, but also the mother. So both parties for some strange reason. So then 21 days go by. I don't have any contact, zero contact with my own daughter. I mean, she even took the numbers out of her phone. These types of things. So now we're involved in not only a criminal case, because they arrested me and charged me with obstruction of justice, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest. And now I'm involved in a family court battle because a criminal went in, modified documents criminally. The school illegally accepted these documents, then changed the system, didn't tell anybody in the school system what was going on. There was a few days before this even didn't even take place. That morning before picking her up, I send an email to her teacher saying, "Hi, I'm going to be picking up my daughter today," because there was like a dual folder that we were supposed to get for like homework and things like that.
Wow.
So huge communication breakdown, massive mess. So then the school puts a Joe trespass order on me, so I couldn't go to the school. I couldn't be near the school. I couldn't engage with my daughter's community. I had no community with the teacher, homework, nothing. I knew zero about her in school. I was totally taken out of the equation. The first attorney that I hired failed me miserably in both the criminal and the family court matter. I actually had to get rid of him and then find another attorney who isn't really doing the best, and the system itself is so corrupt and so rigged that they make the decisions for you without you even being present. For example, I mean, this is over a year and a half this is going on, so we don't have like 6 weeks to even go through this. So I'm trying to really get some of the highlights. One of the highlights during this whole family court thing is we're stuck in this online venue now for these WebEx communications because nobody's allowed in court. I mean, for nothing, for the court system to be so essential, COVID shuts them down, yet you can go into the convenience store and you have store employees that become more essential.
Or go to the casino in Lincoln, yeah.
Judges and lawyers are less essential than grocery store workers during a pandemic. Don't even get me started. So now we're stuck in online WebExes. They do these conferences without you present, then come back and tell you what the decisions are made. Without consent, without your knowledge, without even your agree. Like, hey, what do you think?
To sum this up here, so we catch everybody up to speed, this gentleman here went to school normally, like he normally does, to pick his daughter up. Then just like literally treated like a terrorist, if that's basically what you're saying, thrown on the ground. Then he got charged for resisting arrest, belated, questioned everything, interrogated, all because he's going to pick up his daughter. And the principal turned into a nutbag. And this is unreal, man. And the corruption, this has been more than one incident here. I mean, I've been a victim of the family court myself. And then what happened was, this was the most case happens. A woman goes in and whatever the case, to make an adjustment on the custody thing without having no intentions of having a restraining order, and somebody from the family court comes in and says, well, you know what, if you get the family court, then they try to talk it into them, they could get some victim benefits and make it sound all fluffy and good, and the next thing the woman gets a restraining order on the person, not knowing that the restraining order is literally going to ruin the person's life, and it's going to really affect the daughter and the family. You know what I'm saying? The whole family in general. And I apologize about the beeping in the background, guys. Building, they've been having fire alarm tests here and there, so I apologize about the beeping here. So but yeah, Josh, this is crazy, man, and this needs to be exposed. And I'm so glad you have the guts, because a lot of people, they'll come up to me like. Oops, my audio went. Yeah, so a lot of people come up to me and tell me this happens, but they don't have the guts to come out and say, hey, listen, I'm blah, 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 and I'm sick of it, and I'm going to stand up against it. And I praise you, Josh, for having the guts to come up and stand not only for your daughter, but stand against this corruption. And this is what needs to happen. So everybody out there, if you're a victim of this, anything like this, man, you need to step up and stand out and get your story out. And I know you try to do this with the other media. Did you get any success, by the way? I'm sorry, I had your audio off. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. It's fine. Now, there's a lot of silence compliance going on here. Many of the attorneys or other institutions that try to speak to, they all just try to brush it, throw it under the carpet. I've reached out to the ACLU. I've reached out to specific lawyers of the ACLU. I've been to the FBI, even just filed charges. I've been to the state police to file charges. They all basically stick the finger in the air or tell you while you're in family court, or they give you some excuse and then send you out the door. There's been the mayor's office. I've been to several different media outlets, from Warwick on to Providence. I'm not going to specifically name these media outlets because of just turning the blind eye. They don't deserve that kind of recognition, in my opinion. They don't deserve the plug, I guess, for a better term. Because for over a year, we've been trying to get some kind of awareness brought, because I've even tried to go to the legislature to get some kind of media remedy with a law put into place. So you can't just go into a school and start signing something and having somebody's life completely changed without them being notified. The document that was changed was edited as if I had died, as if I had disappeared and fell off the face of the earth. And okay, cool, sure, that's the problem. There's no checks and balances. I mean, you have to get a certificate to go and modify your home or remodel your home. And that certificate's pretty standard between town to town, but you can go walk into this school or that school and change it at will, willy-nilly, and each school's going to handle it differently. I was involved in our last school out in Coventry, religiously doing, family meets, school meets, projects, events. They knew us all well, the principal, whatever. I could walk in without having to show an ID and then show the ID once I was getting my child. This kind of craziness.
And it is. All the principal had to do is say, "Excuse me, sir," and got you in the office to listen. The mother made a modification. It's beyond me. She made the modification. This is what happened, and that's it. That would have been fine. You probably walked out steam, but you'd thank the principal for letting you know. And instead of this episode, first of all, calling the police, causing this big ruckus, and then on this big power trip, it's disgusting. And again, all she had to do is say, "Excuse me, Mr. Mello." The mother made a modification on the orders here. I mean, you're picking a child up and all that. That's all she had to say. You would have walked out there just fine, no problems. And, of course, you would have to go to court to deal with it. But, it's just ridiculous. It really is.
Well, at that point, there was no family court. That we had this verbal agreement that kept us out of it. It wasn't until I was arrested and then subsequently brought into family court, because the DCYF had that restraining order put me on me. That's how that whole thing got into family court. So prior to that, there was no family court issues. All family court and everything came after the arrest at the school. My life was family court, free at that point, if you'd like to, call it that. It wasn't until recently. Now it's been a year and a half, almost more, of family court madness.
Wow, that's insane. Especially, I feel, because I had an incident myself, but to go almost a month without seeing your daughter, man, that's ripping hot, man. Really is. I feel for you. I've been exactly in that place, man. And these people are corrupt, they're evil, you know what I mean? And the corruption in, the school systems as well, I mean, it's unreal. Then the family courts, the whole child protective services in the state, and you go to the, people that could supposed to help you, elected officials, politicians, paid politicians are sworn in to, take an oath, and nobody does nothing for you. You know what I mean? And this is the biggest problem in Rhode Island, man. And that's why people need to stand up against this. And I can't say enough how much people need to stand up and stop fighting back against this, because these courts are brutal, and they're designed purposely to destroy the family. That's what they're there for. Instead of saying, all right, the normal thing would be to do, okay, it says to take the mother, father in, in a group meeting, say, hey, listen, it's like, I know you guys are separated, but hey, listen, you got the daughter, what can you guys do? But they don't do that, because again, I was a victim too. What they would do is they'd bring one at a time in, talk third party, even before a restraining order too. It is sickening. And what they do is they coach the mother to believe that she's a victim, and you need to get a restraining order, and it makes his life a hell, a living hell, and there's no communication. And then if the state gets in control, there's no mediation between you and the mother directly. You know what I mean? It's a three-way. Like, you come in, all right, you come in, and then they make the decision. You know what I mean? Then that's how the state gets in a grip on your family's life, and that's it. You know what I mean? And it takes sometimes the mother. Again, when I had problems years ago, it takes the mother to realize, wait, what the heck's going on? I didn't want any of this. You know what I mean? I want my daughter to see his father, whatever, her father. I'm sorry, and it's I'm so fed up over it because again, not me, but many people I know have been victims of this, guys, and this man here. I understand his pain, really do. And Josh, my heart's out to you, man.
Well, I thank you, and I appreciate you having us in here to help try to expose some of this. Like, there's, again, some of the lawyers and the institutions and the platforms that you expect are there for this. Turn a blind eye. You get told, if anything, you're not part of a protective class. You have to jump through this hoop or that hoop, and when you jump through this hoop, they get you there, and like, oh well, you have to start at the beginning. It's this red tape bureaucracy of horse manure. It's pretty unfortunate because ultimately, in the long run, it's the children in the middle that pay the highest price. There is no winner in family court. There's a lot of losers, and the fact if we could want to talk about reform and restructuring, that's one of the places that surely need it. Not the police department in that respect. They don't necessarily belong in schools using this heavy-handed approach with parents and children. I don't agree with that either. I don't believe there should have been a police officer on the ground that day. And one of the reasons, from what I understand through my investigations, is she had the police officer instead of the resource officer on scene because she had initial problems during release of children earlier in the week. Now, this principal's only been a principal for 1 year. This is her first year at the time. It's and then some of the treatment that even Carissa was exposed to after. She was actually single-handedly singled out and exposed to various types of treatment. She got punished with one of her friends and was given 4 squares or concrete pads to play with. And then when she wouldn't stop touching cones, she was given 2 concrete pads to play with. Now this woman's was the principal. The woman is
That's
pretty
insanity.
bizarre.
It really is, and so. Now she's with you, is that correct?
Correct. My daughter has, she actually ran away because the system that's been in place in the drawing of things out and some of the abuse that she's had to have been subject to because of COVID, now children are stuck at home in certain environments longer than necessary. And some of those environments are pretty unhealthy. And given some of the other circumstances she was in with this just learning, the scene was caused at her home and she felt as though she had to just get away. She reached out to my other half of myself at about 9:30 at night. Please come get me. It wasn't even through her own phone. It was actually through her mother's phone. So basically with that, we were on the road. We found her out by the side of the street, cuddled by a tree, crying her eyes out, the backpack. And about 21 days it's been or so now. Actually a little more than that. She's been with us. We're trying to get it so she's with us where she belongs full time and flip that script a little bit, but the system's not designed and where they're even listening to that because the mother for some reason has this heavy-handed gift of, well, whatever the case may be, regardless of how good or bad you might be, the father's the worst and you have the ultimate say. What do you want? Even with the known manipulation, the known criminal activity, they asked her what type of visitation I was allotted. I had almost nothing initially. And that's where that first lawyer had to get the can because he was like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. Because he wasn't having to deal with it. Oh, that's the best I could do, I'm told. Really? So then I get the second attorney who's did much better, but not much better. Because here we are with some of the things that needed to be addressed, falling on deaf ears, never getting a resolution, saying, well, I can't do anything about it. Or I refuse to, more importantly, do anything about it because I've tried to even present the criminal aspects, which we've spoken about, to her, to have her hand me off to me somebody else. No, I'm not going to do that. You have a legal representative. You have a sworn legal obligation, and you refuse?
Sounds like dictatorship to me, man.
Absolutely. It's unfortunate because here we are still trying to find the right channels to get accountability. And people are just doing their fingers in their ears or just turning their back and saying that's got nothing to do with me. Because when they go home and close their door at night, they're probably not taken away from their parents or children or whatnot.
Yeah. So has the police been at your house ever since she came to yours? Or any calls or anything like that?
No police activity since that. The only engagement with police was that time I was arrested at the school, other than trying to get them to, take a police report or file a complaint against the mother for those forged documents or other activities, or the school for their activities. Outside of that, no police activities, sir.
Oh, okay, so they never called the cops that, she ran away and nothing like that?
Nope. They barely even have called me. They've in that I should say in that time maybe given her one phone call, 3 or 4 text messages. Never called me about it until much recently, where it's been not even a call, it's been text messages attacking me verbally, telling me I'm just preventing her from going home and all this fluff and stuff. When I ask her every day, what would you like? What would you like? You're 11, you have a voice. I'm listening to it. If you need it, I'm going to try to provide it for you.
That's the other thing with the courts too. They don't like to, it depends on the age, but she's 11. Kids baby, she's not a kid. I'm sorry, a young teenager babysit at this age, so she's got a voice, okay, and plain and simple. And the court should be taking her voice under consideration. And it's like, all right, how can we solve this matter? But they don't want to do that, like we said, and they're about destroying families as well. They're about, and we're dealing with a huge corrupt state. It's been like this for a very long time, and. So, what are your next steps? I mean, where are you going to go from here? Like, are you going to file for permanent custody? And it's unfair, too, how they do that. It's like, it's supposed to be 50-50. It takes 2 people to make a child. You know what I mean? You're not a bad guy. You're not you have no record on, no corruption, nothing like that. And you should have 50-50 say and rights over a child. And I'm not against women, whatever the case, but, it seems like they side with the woman all the time. Like, just, it doesn't matter what she says it does, what she wants, and have they gone after you for child support yet?
Not as of yet. As well as going through this court, the child support hasn't been less of an issue versus trying to get visitation, which is a good thing. But I do take care of her 50% of the time, and I have not anti-woman in any such an imagination, but I'm also a pro-parent. We should be co-parenting. 50-50 shouldn't be just dividing a human being up as he's an object. I understand that the court system only views it as such, and that's been one of my gripes. I'm like, how are you going to divide a human up like that? Initially, for that 4 or 5 year period where she was with me, less issues, because she would spend all summer, weekends, any day off of school vacations. Like, we had a routine every year. It was the same way. In that off time, if you will, she was with, the mom. That was not a problem, and that was something she adjusted to and really enjoyed, and we all seemed to really enjoy it. Mom could come over our house. We never prevent. We don't bar. We don't disrupt. Hey, you want a phone? You want this? You want that? Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Versus the other way. Going further, yes, I do want to have to file, because that's the way the system designed it as such, for the full custody, for the full placement, for that position. For the last 11 years, I've been neglected that option, denied that option. Well, she's going to be 18 soon, pretty much probably going on her own. I'd like to be able to get that tail end of it that I was refused to. Parental alienation's a huge thing. I've missed birthdays, Christmases, holidays, first this, first that, first words, first steps. A lot of firsts I've seen not, So I'd like to be able to be there for that, not that latter part, but the adolescent age before she becomes a young adult.
Going to proms and all that stuff,
and college, and hey, Dad, I'll call you whenever, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you want to be there for basically when she goes to proms, things like that, and unfortunately, the first boyfriend, you gotta get a shotgun for that.
Right. Well, hopefully with the martial arts training, and now she's doing kickboxing. Hopefully, I won't need too many shotguns.
Yeah, good. That's awesome, and that's always good for a child because it helps with discipline as well, and to be able to protect herself. So,
correct.
And has the mother reached out in any which way? Say, hey, listen, all right, let's try to work something out.
Negative. Nope. It's more of an attack. It's more of I'm a horrible person. She wants to know if you will ask her a question.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
no, I was just saying that she's actually called me and started to attack me as well.
she's called you and started to attack you?
Yes.
Wow. So what did she
Very
say to you?
unhealthy.
Say is she's not looking at as a problem. She just assumes that she has the ultimate authority.
Yeah.
It's an authority thing. It's a position thing.
Yeah.
It's like
I don't know if I caught that on audio, but yeah, they were saying them being attacked and everything, and the mother calling her and attacking her verbally and everything else. That's crazy, man. And as a parent, you should be like, you know what? Let's just work this. And I don't mean, if I'm out of line at all, guys, like, I don't want to give any of your business out. If you don't want to answer a question, please say so. But I mean, this is unreal, man. And shame. No offense on you, man, but shame on the mother. It really is. And she should be an adult about things. Hey, let's work something out. And instead of getting the state involved, worst thing you could possibly do. Unless the father's a complete scumbag, and which in this case he's not. This is a working man right here. He loves his daughter, very active person. And so why? You know what I mean? And the courts love people like this guy because they love to destroy families, like I said. And Josh, again, I sympathize for your brother, and you're a good man for stand up for your daughter. And I've been to your business. You work your butt off, and that's all it should matter. You love your child, you support your child. You have no problem doing that, and I don't understand what the problem is.
I don't understand what the problem is either, besides that I believe that the system has been designed like this over the years to systematically destroy that, family nucleus, that bond, you separate it, then you have control of the minds at will, the young children, the impressionable minds, and you can basically fill their heads full of whatever, and they'll believe whatever, then they become, as we're already supposedly written, wards of the state. I mean, we're born into possessions of the state. They just want to take possessions of their minds too, and if they can take the parents away from the equation, that's their way to do it. And they're leaving the schools as that medium to indoctrinate versus educate, unfortunately. My daughter is able to almost identify what she deems as racist content versus know what part of Canada, where Canada belongs in the country. That's disturbing at 11 years old.
Oh, it is, and I can only imagine what they teach the kids in school these days, man. It's insane, but again, you keep up what you're doing. Keep up fighting, never stop, and because the thing is, the system hates that. They want to make people feel submissive to the system and all that, be victimized, and it's disgusting, man. And again, man, I salute you, man, for standing up and for your daughter and your family at that. You're a good man.
Thank you. I've encountered at least a handful of people that have been through this, and they've unfortunately all said the same resonating thing, which drives me further. They've given up. They've walked away from sons, daughters, the system. They said, I'm beaten over it. Within 10 minutes of a discussion, they're so broken, just discussing it with me one-on-one, half the time they walk out, or they just get so frustrated, they're like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. And just because the system breaks them down over time, short or long period of time, depending on how the fight was, and then just walk away. And then they lose out. The children lose out, and the state somehow gains. Sick.
It is sick, and like you said, like I said earlier, people come to me a lot. They tell me stuff, but when it comes crunch time, they don't want to come on camera. They don't want to stand up because they're broken. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you need to stand up and say, I know, but I'm done with it. You know what I mean? You feel like deflated, you feel defeated, demoralized, and over what? You know what I mean? Because we have a corrupt system. It's all about money, and they, a lot of times they do push the women to, you need to file for child support because they make money off that, and and they want to control everything. That's the point. You know what I mean? Keep everybody under control, and this is beyond sickening, really is. And I am so happy that you got your daughter with you in your custody and your care. And if I was you, man, I would just take her. But I know it's against the law to go to over state lines. But I'd just move to Florida or something with her.
Well, it was crossed our mind as a adolescent. I had in my younger years, I kind of had my own experience with family court, whatnot. So it's kind of like this really scary deja vu to find myself going through a similar process. And just my parents at the time, they had plane tickets ready to bounce, take off to Canada. A little easier back when I was younger than it is now, but scarily similar, eerily similar.
Absolutely, and I don't blame you, and nobody out there can blame you. So is there anything else you want to disclose or finish off with?
I'm just here to hopefully, if anybody out there has a good venue for civil rights lawyers, any kind of lawyers for, family justice, accountability law, somehow to take on the state, take on the school system, take on the police station, take on all these venues. Any father's rights activists saying, if you want to reach out, whatnot, I'm here. We need to mobilize and become this force, this entity that's you can't shut down, because the way we seem to be divided now, it's a white, black, he, she type of thing. Well, the family is the whole. You keep the family strong, you'll have a stronger country, you'll have a stronger overall. You let them come in and pick you away from the inside, we're not going to go anywhere good. So if we mobilize now, rebuilding our families and our family structure and our morals and our values through the unity, at least if the mother and father can't be in the same house together, they can still raise that same child together, will produce a stronger future, stronger generations. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm looking for some unity amongst us, folks like yourself, instead of the folks I've unfortunately had to meet who've all wanted to just wash their hands of it.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate. I think it was 11, 12, maybe in that area. My mother, father got divorced, and yeah, I mean, we were split households, but there was no family courts involved. My mother and father, it's like, you're right, we're not going to take it out on the children. So us, me and my brother, whatever. And so what they did, I should say, is agreed whenever I come over there, sleep over there. I had a room there and a room at my mother's house, so it worked out good for me. But unfortunately, that's not the case for most people, mainly because of the courts. And yes, there's wackos out there who don't want that individually, but mainly because of the courts, the way they're designed today. I mean, and I agree with you 100%, man. We should have a huge reversion of the courts or something. Something needs to change and change fast, because we can't go on like this, especially in the state of Rhode Island. And I don't mean to sound dramatic, guys. It is far worse than me and him trying to express here. So,
40 years, Rhode Island. On the books, and they're
40 years.
40 years they've been unrevised, and they do not have even the equivalent of 50-50. There's a group out there that gave each state a grade. We received an F, and the most recent development. I mean, I love everyone. I'm all about inclusiveness. But if we're going to change any kind of parentage laws, they should be unified and not just structured to favor specific groups. Men seem to be left on the wayside when it comes to parentage rights, and Rhode Island fails miserably when it comes to that.
Got that right. Now, yeah, I don't mean to put her on the spot, Rachel, yeah, your girlfriend there, but what kind of emotional distress is it causing her? I don't know if you wanted to come on. It's up to you.
Okay.
So we're gonna get Rachel on here in a second, and sorry to put you on the spot. I just wanted to, because this is real stuff, guys. Yeah, this is real. Affects everybody, not just the child too. Affects the entire family on both ends. And so this is Rachel, Josh's girlfriend here. So what kind of emotional distress you've been through him from? You've been there at the school, right? Is that correct?
Yes, I was actually there that day when the whole incident happened. It's kind of surreal, to be honest with you, I'm part of it, but at the same time, feel like an outsider, because, I'm not the mom, I'm the addition to the family, but I've been in Carissa's life for 5 years, so she is like a daughter to me. And witnessing that day, knowing that Josh had every legal right to be there, knowing that he was registered in the school as the father, and then to see him get refused access to his child when she was already giving custody to us. I watched him calmly say to the principal, "Can we go speak about this?" He comes back out, joins us. We start walking away, and then next thing you know, he's getting tackled to the ground. His daughter's witnessing it. I'm trying to keep her calm, trying to understand what's going on. And then to be with him while he's not able to see his daughter and try to knock on doors, find answers, be like, how is this happening? And you get people who are like, oh, well, I feel bad for you, but you're not part of a protected class, or, oh, well, that they're known for corruption and we're not going to do anything about it. And, you had talked about, you talked about, other people that we've reached out to. I always thought that if you were going to be a reporter or an investigator, that it doesn't matter the story if you believe in it. And we've met with people who are like, well, we just don't have time to do something like that. But yet they'll cover like yoga pants being a problem in Charlestown or Middleton or whatever.
Or some stupid ribbon cutting.
Yeah, and so emotionally, it's heart-wrenching because Carissa's an amazing child, and I know the bond that the two of them have had since the moment I was introduced to them. I mean, when I met Josh, the first thing he said to me is, if my daughter doesn't like you, we're probably not going to work. So, I knew the moment that I met Josh and Carissa that their bond was really strong. So to know that Carissa's mother I've witnessed her do everything she can to break that bond has always been very, heart-wrenching, because I know the relationship that the two of them have. And it takes a toll on you, because not only did I see it and go through it with them, but then I watch what Josh goes through, trying, 21 days he couldn't see his daughter, and then agrees to ridiculous terms to see her because it just happened to be 3 days before her birthday. They don't always remember this, but the day that Josh was able to see Carissa and we met her at the bus stop, the child walked off the bus and saw her dad, and she was like, I knew you'd come for me. Like, the things that I've witnessed as being on the outside and the emotional, it's kind of the thing that baffles me, sir, is, knowing the evidence, the fact that we have people that should be held accountable. People don't want to look at the fact that Carissa's mother changed a document which created the issue at the school. The school could have handled it various different ways. That's neither here nor there anymore, but no one wants to take accountability for it. But everyone's forgetting about what the child's gone through. She's gone through so much that she ran away a month ago and has been living with us. But because Tanya was the first person to put a restraining order on, and he's the defendant, we have to wait in limbo for this court system. If Carissa's 11 and can come to us and say, hey, I'm happier here with you right now. This is where I want to be right now. And that's what we're talking about. The child has a voice, and she should have that voice, and no one wants to listen to it. And it's disheartening because she's sitting here not only dealing with this, dealing with COVID, distant learning. I mean, come on. We're supposed to give a safe place for a child. And I think it's important that if anybody's, wanting to figure out, oh, how can I help this situation? We need to let this world know that children have a voice. 11 years old, have a conversation with her. She has the right to say, hey, I want to be with dad right now. Maybe in 6 months, she might be like, hey, I want to live with mom. Why shouldn't she have that ability? And that's one of the things that we've tried to fight for, is the fact that no one wants to hear. They want to hear the mom and then the dad, but they want to forget that this child isn't something to be divided. So it's been very difficult.
I seen your frustration, and you didn't know me when you first met me, so I know you texted and say, are you serious about this? Because you were very aggressive about it, which was good. I love that. And because I'm sure you've been to a bunch of other media people, and they're like, yeah, about whatever. You know what I mean? They give you the cold shoulder, so right away you're like, if you're not serious, don't worry about whatever the case. You were aggressive about it, which is a good thing, because you've been snowballed a bunch of times by these so-called media people and everything else, and it's ridiculous, really is. And I appreciate. I seen your passion right away. I'm like, this girl means business. This family means business. Yeah, so she was very aggressive, and I admire that.
Well, thank you. I've kind of learned some aggressiveness from Josh, in the sense where, how are people supposed to take you seriously if you don't take your own story seriously? And one of the things people need to understand is, we're trying to take a very negative experience that the three of us have had together, and we found that, hey, if we can take this negative and influence to bring a positive, then it makes this situation something we can look back on and go, man, this really stunk. But we have that determination, and as Josh said, so many people give up. Well, we want to fight not just to get Carissa what she wants, but we want to fight so that another little girl who has a dad who has this bond, who might not have the strength that Josh has to keep fighting, if we can bring this awareness and maybe get a law passed that we had been talking with some legislators about, or just get a group of people together who help change the future, then another little girl or another little boy may not have this happen to them. if we can change one other person's lives other than Carissa's, then it makes this experience something we can look back on. And I think that's one of the things, too, that people don't realize, that it's not just exposing what we're doing, it's also, exposing the whole picture and how we have to change it for everyone.
Yeah, you got that right. And anything else you want to disclose? Move over to Josh to finish up.
I'm good, thank you.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Sorry to put you on the spot. So this is crazy, man, because as you see right here, it affects everybody, and she is a part of the family. You know what I mean? And the thing is, when you're with somebody, even though you're not married, you're like me. If I was to date a woman, she had a child, automatically in that picture. You know what I mean? And not as a biological father, whatever the case, but that's part of what a family is. You know what I mean? So
correct. And there's another aspect which I was kind of hoping she would have approached, and this is me being transparent and honest, and open to them as well as others. Stress, these types of things create an unsettling environment, and sometimes those emotions and feelings then come out inadvertently and sometimes intentionally on people unnecessarily, especially in this kind of stressful family court situation. It's intensified, I feel, by the nth degree. It's not even like making sure your rent's paid. It's not making sure that your car payment's there. It's not like bills. Sometimes you can just fluff that off or make a call or work it out. This is an environment, your hands are tied and you're stuck within these confines of ridiculous structure. So then, through miscommunication or whatever, you'll have fights, unnecessary arguments, or, create a stressful situation that, being a partner, you kind of work with. And if you're strong or whatever, you'll be understanding, or sometimes people just walk away. Like, this affects a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. She's fortunate, and my family's thankfully strong enough by the universe that we can move past some of these. Some families aren't that strong to have the resolve to not let systematic effed up stuff like this destroy them too. So as a partner, I'm grateful for her and her resilience and her stubbornness, and sometimes overly stubbornness.
Hey, they're all like that.
Because there's sometimes when I've just wanted to lay in the corner and just say F it all, let my business go to the ground, and she's pulling me tooth and nail, come on. And then there's times when I'm unfortunately being that heavy-handed, like, and then she's like, just taking it. So it's a very strange metronome when you're stuck in this, and it swings wildly at times.
I admire you big time. That's the kind of woman you put a ring on.
Yes, it's a Groot ring, but it's still the same.
It's my girl. She my fiance. She shows no sympathy at all. She's like, "Get off your butt. You're not sick. Go to work. Whatever." You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But she jokes around. But yeah, my fiance. She's like that too. She's a very motivated, hardcore, so to speak, and so I appreciate you, Rachel, being like that. And it helps you big time, and it helped me with my stuff, issues I had, and all that. And you want to plug your business? Go for it, man.
K's Customs, we specialize in everything A to Z for children's ride-ons.
How do you spell that?
K, the letter K,
yeah.
apostrophe S, K for the customs instead of a C. At ride-ons. I know I probably butchered that, but
that's all right.
KScustoms.com, so you should just say KUSKSKUSTOMS.com.
All right, I'll put your website in the links here.
Thank you.
So anybody out get out, please support. You sell goat carts and everything?
Mostly just battery-operated ride-ons, because that's just kind of what we grew our niche with. We do have some gas occasionally, but very, 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 very seldom. It's usually battery-operated ride-ons, 12 to 24 volt, kids' toys, Jeeps, trucks, service repair, recycle, consign. We do events. We build custom ride-ons. We did a special project about a year and a half ago. We built a replica Bumblebee, and we donated it to a family of the fallen officer in Massachusetts, Michael Chesna. It was a pretty big experience.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
On the back of a replica Optimus Prime.
You're located in Cranston, right?
No, they're in Weymouth.
I mean, you're...
Oh, we're in Warwick.
Warwick, I'm sorry, yeah. Yes. So you're located in Warwick, Rhode Island. So guys, get out there, support his business, help support his family and everything else. And so is there anything you want to close up with? Yeah.
No, I just want to say thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you helping us get that message out there. It's a little overwhelming. I'm kind of getting a little stuck a little here and there, but I really do thank you. You're probably they're going to be the turning point in all this. So thank you, Dan.
I hope so, because that's what we're about here. And folks, this is Josh Mello, and thank you for coming on, Josh.
Thank you.
So I mean, I just hope that this, people make this go viral, because this is what needs to be done. You need to expose this on the front, tell it all, and just go with it, because we helped with our videos expose things with the veterans going through them being poisoned in Fort McClellan, Alabama. Our videos helped expose that and put this on actual bill. It was great, and for the government to actually do something about it. But anyway, I want to thank Josh Mello for coming on, and I'm just like really distraught about this whole thing, because people don't understand how serious this is. This affects families. It destroys families. It destroys people. It destroys souls. I mean, it goes in. Who's the biggest one that's affected? In the state don't care. The biggest one who's affected is the child, because they want the child to grow up, don't on psychotropic drugs, to cope with the stress and everything else, and all of a sudden, the child grows up to be an adult, dependent on the state, you know what I mean? And it just destroys people completely. So we need to stand up against the family courts and this whole state corruption. Anything to do with children, this state is one of the worst states in the country. I interviewed a senator from New Hampshire. She came out, she used to work for the system too, the family courts. She came out to say they're out, number one, to destroy the family. That's the goal of them. It was Senator Tremblay, I believe it was. But whatever the case, folks, we need to do something about this, and something fast. So this is Dan Bidondi for the Dan Bidondi Show right here on TruthRadioShow.com. God bless, and you are the resistance. Declaring war on the New World Order. TruthRadioShow.com.